It's time now for the day's business news. The World Economic Forum continues this Thursday in Davos, Switzerland. AI and clean energy continuing to feature high on the agenda. But this Thursday, the ever-expanding Middle East conflict is set to take centre stage. France 24's Yuka Royer is in Davos for us. Yuka, Israel's President Isaac Herzog, he's set to make an appearance at Davos later today. What are we expecting to hear from him?
Well, good morning, Haxi. That's right. Israel's President Isaac Herzog is set to take to the stage in a conversation with Karl Schwab of the World Economic Forum. Now, he has brought with him family members of the hostages, Israeli hostages, still being held captive in Gaza by Hamas. The aim really here is to galvanize support and put maximum pressure to get them released as soon as possible. Now, several ministers from Qatar and the United Arab Emirates, which are considered key mediators in this conflict, are also here in Davos. So some busy diplomatic activity is, of course, expected on the sidelines of the event. Now, the victims' families, the family members of the hostages, as well as those freed from captivity, attended a separate meeting, an event last night. Some of them giving really emotional speeches about their experience and urging people to take action to bring them home.
Now, as far as tech is concerned, Yuka, this year Davos is very much about AI, artificial intelligence, but the crypto industry is also drawing a lot of renewed attention at the moment.
That's right. Well, on the official agenda, AI is still featuring very high. There are several panels dedicated to this technology. ChatGPT, Sam Altman, who, of course, recently survived a boardroom crisis, he's attending several meetings, a panel about AI's impact and benefits on humanity. And the last year and a half for the crypto industry have been really rough. It suffered from, of course, the crisis of the FTX collapse and the arrest and the conviction of Sam Bankman-Fried. But it has recently seen a renewed interest and recovery. I spoke with the CEO of Crypto Council earlier in Davos. Let's take a listen.
I think that is a little stickier than we had hoped it would be, but I do think in the advent of Sam Bankman-Fried being found guilty and convicted, a lot of that, the process has run its course. And I think justice is being served. He is getting sentenced. He will almost certainly go to jail. And I think most people feel like that is the outcome, that was the appropriate outcome, and are moving on. And I think that's true both in the industry, outside the industry as well. We have other glad tidings. We had the approval of the Bitcoin spot ETF by the SEC, which has sparked a new resurgence in that particular asset and interest in it. And we have, I think, a number of other movements and discussions that are happening all over the world about beyond financial services, about, for example, the connections of a blockchain, Web3, and AI, about how blockchains can help with cybersecurity. These are things I think that are burgeoning conversations, part of what I'm hearing here on the promenade and in Davos. And I hope that those will move the conversation forward and beyond the events of last year.
Do challenges remain for the industry?
Absolutely. I think some of the challenges are from the industry itself. I do think the industry has to be thinking in a more inclusive way about what is the market here. It's frankly a bit self-serving, but what is the market? We've seen a lot of appetite for this particular opportunity in parts of the emerging economies, frontier economies, and really making sure that we are building a model, we're building an ecosystem that's going to be as inclusive as possible and globally inclusive is really important. I think you're starting to see a little bit of both hubristic behavior and arrogant behavior on the part of some builders who I think are now trying to pull themselves. We see this all the time in any new industry. The minute something gets sticky, you start to see the exit of some folks from everybody else. And that I think will be problematic because the entire premise of this technology is that it can be used and it can service everybody in the entire world. And if we're not thinking in that way and continuing to think in that way, I think we're going to get into problems. We're going to cause them for ourselves as an industry.
This final question is like me as an average person. Can I safely and confidently invest in crypto?
I absolutely think that is the case. I think the most important thing is to figure out the form factor of engagement. If you're a very nervous person, you might want to use the spot ETF that's existed in other parts of the world for some time, but now exists in the United States as well. If you're a more adventurous person, I think you might want to think about a self-hosted wallet and holding things yourself, or you might want to take advantage of a custodial service like one of the exchanges. But in any event, I think it's always about doing your research. Nothing I say is investment advice, but I do think this asset and this industry have moved forward in significant ways, and a lot of the safety and security and soundness many of us were hoping would get introduced earlier on is now starting to become more and more present.
And of course, Davos is not all about what takes place inside the Congress Center. There's been a flurry of activity both on business and diplomatic fronts. Here on the promenade, as Sheila just mentioned in that interview. And of course, Sam Altman, people like Sam Altman and other big company CEOs like Bill Gates and Microsoft's CEO, they've all been popular with people. Small company CEOs from many countries have been trying to get their spot to have a little bit of conversation with these tech leaders.
Unsurprisingly, Yuka Royer reporting there live from a very snowy Davos. Thank you very much.